10 porcelain subway tile, and they're going to be going in a Kit Kat pattern, which is vertically stacked, so they're just going to stack on top of each other. I call it a Kit Kat because it kind of looks like that. We already got our layout. I got my story pole that I made up when we did our float layout. So I got a couple story poles. I got a horizontal one. So all a story pole is you do a tile layout with your grout spacing, and then you mark your grout joints onto the stick. You just transfer the layout onto a stick. It's a lot easier to see where your cuts are going to be and everything, and I did the same thing on the vertical. So this is going up and down. And so what I did here is, once I have this, I can just transfer it. So I put my floor tile, because I want my shower floor tile to tuck underneath the wall tile. And then I can just transfer my marks from my story pole. So I put a couple spacers. I got an 1/8 and a 1/16. You can find these at tilecoach.com. 1/8 and a 1/16, and that's going to give me the thin set and a little wiggle room underneath. And then I can just mark. Then I can just transfer the mark from the stick to the wall, and that's going to be where all of my grout joints are. And you can see I laid out the niche so that I get a full tile right at the bottom of the niche. So it's real handy when you're doing your layout to do this stuff. I'm just going to put marks wherever my grout joints are, and then I'll put my lines where I need them. So I'm good on the vertical there. Horizontally, we have what I'm doing with this layout. So typically I'll get center, and I'll either center the tile or center the grout joint, whatever gives me a bigger cut on either side. But since our niche couldn't get pushed over anymore for our layout, so what I did is I wanted a full tile. You can see here, I can get a full tile at the niche on either side. So I get a full tile on the bottom, full tile on the side, full tile on this side. To me, this is going to be the focal point of the wall. I'm not too worried about that cut being bigger than this cut. You know, but that's kind of what makes tile art and subjective, is that the way one person would lay it out would be different than another. I just think this would look better. You could center, but if I centered it, I would end up with something like a smaller sliver right here and a cut on this side. I think it's better to have full tile on either side of the niche, and then I actually get a full tile at this wall, and then I have an 1.5 inch cut here. And so that's what's nice about a story pole, is you can play with your layout and get it exactly where you want it. But so that's what I'm going to do. This wall is not going to be centered. Again, some of you out there might drive you crazy. I actually think a little bit of asymmetry in a design adds interest and looks, and I don't know if it looks better, but it looks more interesting. Sometimes when things are too symmetrical, it looks, I don't know, it doesn't look right to me. But again, subjective. It's a craft, it's an art. But that's what I'm going to do with this. So mark a couple lines on here. Here. So I'm going to draw a line right on this grout joint and then work that way. So yeah, I'll probably do a couple. I don't need one every line, but I'll give myself a few lines here just to keep me on track. So I got my lines. To me, you know, I could set up lasers and move lasers around and everything, but you know, I tend to kick the laser. It kind of gets in the way. The green lasers, they're not supposed to go into your eye, so I always feel like it's something I gotta dance around when I have a laser set up. So I like to just get my lines on the wall. You know, I take good old level and pencil. So I'm gonna start with my vertical one. Got that one. Maybe I'll do this one over here. Got one there. Sharpen up my pencil. And I could probably even use my margin trowel to make a line because the mud is still kind of soft. I like when I have my wall floats, I like to get on it the next day. Like I don't like to float on a Friday, come back on a Monday because the mud it'll be cured. When it's the next day, you can still get in and knock down any high spot. It's real soft. So I could probably take will you hand me my margin trowel, Zach? I just want to see if this will work. So yeah, that's actually easier than putting a pencil line in it. Give me a nice line there. So got my vertical line set. So yeah, I have that now. I don't need to mess with the laser. It's like done. And the horizontal, I'm gonna start on the first grout joint here. So I just made a line on my first grout joint mark, and I'll probably go up. I'm gonna try to get 3 rows on this. I'm gonna probably be faster than you guys are, so you guys might want to do 2 or even 1. You know, you don't want to spread too much thin set that you can't cover up in a reasonable amount of time because you won't get a good bond. So yeah, so I can cover up to that line and that'll be a good stopping point. Then I might as well mark it while I'm here, right? Just keep going. So I'll do this one. And I'm gonna start with a ledger on the bottom. So I could have set the pan and then stacked off of that. But I like to use a ledger because sometimes the shower pan isn't perfectly level. And when you're scribing in and stacking on it, because all these tiles are gonna have weight going down. Sometimes if you're trying to scribe that bottom piece in and stack on it with your wedges, everything gets kicked around. So I'd rather start with a perfectly level starting point. And the way you can do that is with a ledger board. This is just a piece of MDF. I'm gonna put it right on my pencil line. And I got a ring shank drywall nail here. Get started. And again, this mud is soft enough with these ring shank nails. So this is an 1¼ inch ring shank drywall nail. These guys have the little rings on them and they bite. So I didn't sink it all the way through, you know, through the dent shield. It's just going into the mud and it's enough to hold it and tack it in. So that's tacked in really good. If you have a heavier tile, like a 12 by 24 porcelain or something, you might need to secure this a little bit better, maybe with screws. You know, if you're doing it on a foam board or a wall board, you might need to actually find studs and sink them into the studs. And then when you pull it out, just fill it in with sealant so you fill those holes in. But this tile's pretty light, so I don't need to, over-engineer this thing. Right in the middle. Good. Okay, we're ready. We're ready to start sticking some tile. Oh, the cool thing is here too, when you plumb up your walls, these walls are perfectly plumb. Notice they don't have any build out from any you know, banding corners and all that stuff. Everything's perfectly plumb. Here's a good example. You know, it's just perfectly straight, bubbles right in the middle. So all the cuts on either side are going to be the same. So Zach already actually ripped them down because I had the story pole. So these cuts are already made. You don't have to adjust as you go. It's like cuts are done, thin set's mixed, so I can just jump in here and get going. I'm just getting the thin set up on the wall. This is Customs VersaBond. This is a great thin set. I've been using this thin set for, I don't know, ever since I started setting tile. So yeah, this is Customs VersaBond. I pay about $20 a bag. Modified thin set, real economical. It's easy to use. It just kind of goes where you want it to go, and I don't have a whole lot of mess on it. Good tack time, and you get it at Home Depot. But I've been using it for over 20 years. I mean, it's the first thin set that I started using. And back then it was like the premium stuff, you know, we didn't have a whole lot of modified thin sets, so it was the stuff to use. And I'm just going to go ahead and start stacking. And I'll check my coverage here, but I don't think I need a back butter. I mean, I have a good coverage on it. I'm going to run with it. I'm not going to back butter these things. Some of you guys might think I'm doing it wrong, but that's fine. I'll check my coverage every now and again, but these tiles are not going to come off the wall, I guarantee it. Yeah, it's really nice to have those lines. I don't even really need a space joint on the horizontal because I'll just kind of eyeball stuff. So yeah, let's check this coverage without any back butter. Yeah, so the tiles are a little cupped there. I mean, I don't know. It probably could use a back butter, but you know, I could just do this. Zach, go ahead. I mean, I could just do something like this because they're bowed in the middle. Let's see if I just did something like that. Let's see what that does. Yeah, so that's the ticket. So I thought I could get away without back buttering, but these tiles are cupped, so I'll go back and just put a little bit right in the middle. What's that?
Does Kelly still work, or is he retired?
No, he's retired.
Snowman out of the wax here.
I'm almost done with the 3 walls, just the field tile. There's going to be a lot of work in the trim and everything, so I know not to get ahead of myself and think I'm done with this, but we made good progress today. I'll finish up the rest of this wall, but I wanted to point out how I was dealing with these handmade zellige type tiles. These tiles are what we call sizey. Some are a little bit bigger, some are a little out of square, like I showed the cupping on them. That gives it kind of a handmade look, which is a really beautiful look. I mean, this is a stunning tile, and I wore the right shirt today here. But setting them can be a challenge because it's not as simple as setting up a ledger and just stacking. So what I've found is I've been doing about 3 rows and just putting a 16th horseshoe in each tile. And of course I got my pencil lines that I'm going off of. So every 3 rows I'm putting a pencil line horizontal, and then I got a vertical line too. And then I'm also keeping track on my outside tile and making sure that I'm nice and square, just like that, or sorry, nice and plumb on the edge. So making sure the bubble's in the middle. Nice to know my inside walls are plumb, so I can use this point and the inside as a reference to kind of steer me in the right direction to staying plumb. I also have a laser that I've been putting on there. Got a hard one there. So I can see that I'm a little off here, and I'll just adjust them. But it kind of takes a lot of feel because the tiles aren't straight. So yeah, so I'm using reference points, and then I'll shoot a laser on it every once in a while just to make sure I'm staying on the right place. And the way I'm keeping track horizontally, that's the more difficult part, because it's easy to adjust them side to side and move them around. But getting them staying, somewhat straight is more of a challenge because you got weight and they want to sack, so you got to support everything. But what I've been doing is I just put in a 16th in each row, doing 3 rows, and then at the end of each 3 rows, I'll put my level up and then straighten out the top of each 3 rows. And then got my bubble in the middle there, but I got these gaps in here. And so what I've been doing is taking horseshoes, and since I have 3 rows to play with here, I'll just stick a 16th in where I need to. And I've been trying to alternate the rows. Like I'll put a 16th in that one, so I'll go there, there, there as I need to bring up, so that I'm not just fattening up one joint. I'm kind of doing it a little randomly, and I can even grab on the bottom row and still lift up, put another horseshoe. So I'm kind of alternating, you know, when I need to get more space in there, the rows, so I'm not just fattening up one joint. I'm playing, I'll pick a vertical row, put one in, then put one up here, maybe one here, one here, one here, as I need to bring these tiles up. Like that. And now I'm nice and even across. So yeah, some of them I have 2 horseshoes in, some of them I have 1. And that's helping with the horizontal runs. And the vertical runs, I'm doing a combination of the level here, using my inside line, and then I can put a laser on there. So that's kind of how I'm getting this straight. So I'm just gonna finish up the rest of this wall. We'll call it a day. We started here probably started setting about 9 o'clock, and it's about 1:20. So that's a good day for me. I feel pretty good about this. Homeowner came in, he was ecstatic. His wife said that she loved me, which was kind of awkward, but it's all good. Tile guys, we get all the love. You know, people don't come in and say, "Oh, I love you, painter," or "I love you, plumber." It's always the tile guys that get the love. So I'm happy to get it. Happy to do this for a client that appreciates what we're doing. So I'll just finish this up, and then tomorrow I'm going to be in here and I'm going to work on setting the floor. So